So now let's talk about a simple solution to the lack of foot contact through the heel and through the big toe that's caused by a tibia that is bowed. Okay, this is not going to give you 100% of fixes, but this is like bang for buck. If you're in a pinch, this is probably going to give you a little bit of room. It's going to give you a better contact. There is no right contact. It's going to give you a better contact. It's kind of a degrees thing. If you're on the edge of a cliff and you're about to fall off and I back you off an inch, like, do you need to go all the way home, or do you just need to be backed off an inch in order for you to achieve what you need to achieve? So we need base of big toe, base of pinky toe, outside of heel, inside of heel, all being able to feel contact at the same time. What you'll notice is that the tibia, if it has a bow to it, which means the proximal end is externally rotated versus the distal end, which is internally rotated, what's going to happen is you're going to lose the contact. Either you'll lose the contact through the first med head, or your entire leg will orient to get that first med head contact, and then you'll lose the outside edge of your foot. So both of these things are no good. You're taking the four quadrants and you're making it into a triangle. The triangle is great for pushing down with force, but it's not great for allowing for variability of movement. So we want that variability of movement. So this is the simple solution that we can do. First, we're going to address the muscle and the muscle orientation that takes place here. There are muscles in the posterior compartment that attach to your fibula and to the tibia that actually create this shape and position, the external rotation of the proximal femur tibia, which actually internally rotates the distal tibia. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your stick, this is the tiger tail, you're going to establish a nice foot contact. My foot is leaning back, that way we take some of the tension off of this musculature. You're going to start 2/3 of the way down. You're going to press in. You're going to slowly work from the distal toward the proximal, and you're pressing in the whole time. And you'll notice how painstakingly slow and deliberate this is, and then quickly go back to the bottom. So you can actually see, as I do this, look at the shape of my tibia. That is gross. You see that? Look how ridiculously pronounced that looks. Do you see why I have knee issues? So what you're going to do is you're going to slowly work on the musculature here. And I want to do this, and I'm going to do a before and after, and hopefully you kind of can see that the bone can actually untwist here as I'm doing this through the muscular aspects of it. And then we're going to back this up with a bony shape change. Okay, so I did that for all of, by the way, that was way too fast. I did that way too fast. The reason why we want to go slow and deep is because we're affecting particular connective tissue receptors that need to have a slow, deliberate, deep sensation here. That's why you can't do this, okay? That's for a different talk show. Now that I've addressed the muscle orientation and the connective tissue, I'm now going to address that bone that we just saw, which was kind of made me throw up in my mouth a little bit. Okay, so I got my shin. I got my foam roller. I love this one because it's a little bit cushy, so it's not gonna like dig into your bone that way. It's gonna help untwist the bone. So you see how there's these ridges here? You hear that? Ridges? That's what you're going to hook your tibia into as you do this exercise. Whereas if you use a foam roller, you might get some give. There's going to be too much sliding. So there's a trade-off. I prefer this. What I'm going to do, halfway down my shin, then I'm going to walk forward so that my hip is about right over the top of my knee. Do you see that? Then watch, I'm going to start with my toe like this. I'm going to push out. See that rolling kind of thing? Rolling against, I'm rolling my tibia in. Now, as I roll from the middle of my shin toward my knee, I'm going to start pulling my foot toward my shin. That's going to activate anterior tibialis. When anterior tibialis is activated, that's going to help untwist the tibia because of the attachments that it has on the front end of it. So it's actually going to anchor the distal end into ER, or at least slow it down, so that as I move the bone into IR, we're not actually just turning the whole thing into IR. We're getting the differential that we need. We're getting the untwist that we need. So I'm going to do this nice and slow, same idea. This is a slow, deliberate movement because we're trying to affect connective tissue and bone that's been under stress for a very, very long time. and it needs time for it to be able to undo, quote unquote, what we just did. All right, now let's see the difference. So here I am now. That kind of look at that. Look at that. You don't think bones move? You don't think bones twist and untwist. I did that for about a minute after doing this. So what that just did was untwist, so it turned this part in, it turned this part out, and now my foot contact is a lot more solid. That way, when I push down into the floor, I'm actually pushing straight back up or over to the left, because before, if I pushed into the floor, I'm sending myself to right field. So this is a simple solution, a simple exercise that you can use with very minimal equipment, very safe to fail, right? If it doesn't go well, you're not gonna hurt yourself. It's not some kind of weird mobilization that you saw on the internet that made you stick a lacrosse ball in your ass or, you know, in a freaking nerve bundle or something like that. We're just working on some bony shape changes, some foot contacts, and some muscle orientations in order for us to be able to push down into the floor more effectively.